So Harvard, and you can Google this, has this great table, and it shows how limited our emotional vocabulary is. So what I mean by this is, if someone asks you, how's your week been?
Oh, it's all right.
All right, good, bad, fine, okay, right? How's your week going? Good. How's your day been? Okay. How are you doing tonight? Fine, right? That's literally how we describe our lives.
Sometimes I say so good just to mix it up.
I love it, good. At least you've got an expansive emotional vocabulary.
Yeah, so expansive.
So expansive. But our emotional vocabulary is so limited. Now there's a challenge here. We don't get to understand how we truly feel because we never articulate and express it. So when you say that you're angry, are you offended? Are you irritated? Are you defensive? There's so much more to the word angry than just anger. Or when you say I'm sad, when you say you're sad, are you upset? Are you regretful?
Triggered.
Are you triggered? Right? There's just so much more. When you self-diagnose and you limit your vocabulary, you're just like, oh, I'm just sad. I'm just angry. And which means that you can't articulate to yourself what you're really dealing with. And you can't articulate to your friend what you're dealing with. So you don't feel understood. And feeling understood is such an important part of self-care. The feeling that I can articulate what I'm really going through and someone understands me. That's huge for self-care. I think it's one of the most important things of self-care. When you look at someone and you feel, they really get me, isn't that so good for your confidence and your self-worth and your significance?
Makes you like them,
Correct.
You feel loved.
Exactly, all in one moment. So for me, that's one of the best self-care techniques is when I'm struggling with something, let me not settle for the base level emotion. Let me really understand it. And then if you're speaking to your therapist, you're speaking to your doctor, you're speaking to your friend, you can now actually articulate it better so they can actually help you back.
Wow.
And you feel understood.
Okay.
The second
what else you got?
Yeah, the second self-care tip that I absolutely love is how we talk to ourselves.
Right.
And so this to me is probably the biggest one. I'm doing a 5 Habits of Happiness challenge on Facebook. So we've had 150,000 people who've registered to take this 5 days of happiness challenge with me online. So every day I teach a new habit to my audience, which is loads of fun. One thing I was talking about is I looked at the definition of confidence. And I've never done this, but I love looking.
Actually, I haven't either.
I've never
talk about confidence all the time.
Yeah, so I thought I'd look at the definition. And it starts off by talking about self-assurance. And you think, okay, yeah, that's what I imagine when confidence. And then it says, and it's the appreciation of one's own abilities and qualities, which blew my mind. Notice it didn't say receiving appreciation for your qualities.
For yourself.
Yeah, appreciation of one's own abilities and qualities. Not the appreciation of others, not the validation of others, not the approval of others.
But that's why you can say, I have confidence in you.
Correct.
Or I have confidence in myself.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. And so the way we talk to ourselves is all over the place.
It's key.
When you're going out to a party, you dress up and you look at the person and you go, how do I look in this? And I'm like, no, ask yourself, how do I look in this?
Right.
Like, how do I feel in this? Or when you go to an interview, people say, how would people describe you in 3 words? It's like, why do we care about how people would describe me? How would I describe myself in 3 words?
Yeah.
And so for me, the way we talk to ourselves is such a big thing. So I have this mechanism that I love coaching people on and sharing with people. It's called spot, stop, swap. Oh, my British accent. Okay.
I want to do it with you.
Spot. A spot of tea.
A spot of tea.
Stop, swap. Yeah. So every time, that's very good. That's very, very, and I'm not even that posh, but you made me sound really posh.
Yes, darling. Mary Poppins is what I have.
I love it. I feel like we need to hold a bit of tea. And just,
can we get a tea?
But spot, stop, swap. So every time you notice yourself, say something negative to yourself.
Ooh.
Spot it first. Start spotting that pattern because that's all it is. It's a pattern. And we don't realize how much the words we say to ourselves have an impact. Like when you say something like to yourself, like, I'm starving, right? When you say that, guess what? Your body gets triggered into feeling like it's starving.
Oh my God, I
so
say
mind
that
and
all
body
the
are
time.
connected. So do I. That's why I'm picking on this example. Whereas what you actually mean is, I've been lazy. I haven't planned my meals. I haven't eaten for 2-3 hours. And you're saying I'm starving. Starving is the person who doesn't know where their next meal's coming from.
Right.
You're just hungry and disorganized.
Right.
And so when we say to ourselves, I'm exhausted, rather than saying, I'm going to make time for a nap today, or I'm going to sleep earlier today.
I'm going to
You're saying the same thing.
Right.
But what you're saying is changing it. So first spot that pattern. One of the things I think a lot of people say to themselves is, I'm not good enough. I'm ugly. I'm not beautiful. She's beautiful. He's really good looking. He's got a great body. She's whatever. And if you spot that, where is that happening? It's usually happening when you're browsing through social media.
Right.
So now let's stop. Let's limit the time you spend in that place, with that person, whatever it is that's sparking and triggering that thought. Let's limit that time. And then let's swap it for something better. So what am I going to swap that with? I'm going to listen to Ashley's podcast. I'm going to read this book that Ashley recommended called The 5 Love Languages. I'm going to go to a class that I've been wanting to go to, or a workshop, or whatever it may be. Like, you've now opened yourself up to swapping it. So spot, stop, swap. So start to spot the patterns, the way you talk to yourself that are bringing you down. Start stopping being in those places and times that spark that thought, because there's usually an alignment. And then swap it, upgrade it for something higher.
Swap it.
Yeah?
That's good.
Yeah, so I really
can't
like
say it 3 times fast though.
that. Spot, stop, swap. Spot, stop, swap, swap. Yeah.
That's all I got.
Stop, swap. Yeah. So that's probably my second one. And my third one, this is probably one of my favorite ones right now. And I think we've been told for a long time that you're the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. We've heard that again and again and again. And everyone's always like, get together with people you want to be like and stuff. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately. And a lot of my friends were saying, Jay, I'm always around people, but I still feel lonely.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard that. Like, people are like, I'm busy, but I'm lonely. I'm around people.
You especially hear it in LA and New York.
Right, yeah, and you feel that people feel lonely. And I said, the challenge is we need to stop getting together and we need to start growing together. And what I mean by that is schedule one experience once a week with a friend where you're both growing together. Choose an activity that neither of you are pro at. So don't go to yoga class if one of you is a yoga enthusiast and the other isn't. Go somewhere where there's a level playing field. Why? Because you now get a fresh experience together. It's so good because it boosts your confidence.
Who cares if you're bad?
Totally. And because you're going together and you're both bad, there's no pressure. and my best memory of this is once for training, I was sent to Chicago, and it was 80 of us who'd never worked together. This was when I joined a corporate company. 80 of us were sent to Chicago for training, but we were told it was Chicago, but actually we were 2 hours outside of Chicago in the middle of nowhere. And we'd be at training 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then at 6 p.m. it was too late to get into Chicago.
Right.
So we'd have to do something. And the only thing we could do is play sport because there were all these outdoor sports places. 10 of us every night would go out and we played volleyball in the snow. None of us had ever played volleyball before. I could pick up the phone to any of these people today because we all just had this crazy, unique experience together.
That's so funny.
And you're learning something together. And I think we underestimate this. Learning something every day is huge for your self-care.
Right.
Because you only feel good about yourself when you feel you're progressing.
Yeah.
So I started this really simple habit, and it's learning a new word every single day.
Oh, I've been writing down new words in my notes. Yes.
Oh, I love this. Okay, amazing. So literally learning a new word every day. And you may say, Jay, I want to learn a new city, or I want to learn about a new culture, or I want to learn about a new cuisine, or I want to learn, but make it small and something you can achieve like in 3 minutes.
Right.
And so my word today was Meraki, Meraki.
Meraki.
Yeah, and what it means is to do something with soul, or to create and leave a piece of you in it, in what you create. And what I love about that word is now I've shared that with you.
Right.
We're now having a discussion about it. You've now contributed to a conversation. Your self-worth gets boosted because you've learned something new.
Right.
You've proved to yourself you can remember and share it. Those are just some answers straight away that came to my mind. Practices that I think are really simple.
They are simple.
They're
And I'm
you can do
glad
on
you
your own.
explained them because I think sometimes people just rattle things off and they don't go into explanation. And I think that's really important.
Thank you.
I think that a lot of people are looking for peace. What do you say to those people who are just in search of peace?
I'm glad you asked this. So the tagline of my book is called Train Your Mind for Peace and Purpose Every Day.
Wow.
I believe that it's something that can be trained, and I believe it's something that you have to take responsibility for. The world around you is never going to be fully peaceful, ever. Even if there was world peace, you would still not have peace with a little argument with your partner or a little issue at work. Like that's never gonna disappear. So the desire for everything around you to be calmed is a wishful thought that doesn't have an end. Whereas the feeling of wanting to create calm and peace within is very realistic. And the point is that that peace is always gonna get triggered. And I think that's the mistake we make. We're looking for this perfect, consistent, never touched definition of peace. Whereas peace is something you're constantly training yourself to look for. So what I would say is that people should try and find the one activity they have in their day that brings them peace. It could be sitting and having their morning tea. It could be sitting and reading from a book they love. It could be having a beautiful conversation with their partner, whatever it is, just have one activity a day that brings you peace. In my book, obviously, I talk about a lot more than that, but to find just something that brings you peace. It could be a mindset that brings you peace. So I really believe that all stress, pressure, or lack of peace comes from your mind being ahead of your body or your body being ahead of your mind. So how many times have you been in a scenario where your mind's like racing really, really fast and your body's like, oh, I just want to be in bed,
Right.
right? Everyone been in that situation?
Yeah.
Or you're in the opposite scenario where your body is moving really, really fast, doing a lot, but your mind's like, oh, I'm still want to be in bed.
Oh, that was me yesterday.
Right. So we've all experienced both.
You get into all this in your book, don't you?
Yes.
Oh, I can't wait to
Yes.
read it.
So the alignment of the two is what creates peace. Let's imagine I was running late today and I'm stressing. I'm like, I haven't thought about this and I don't know what it's about. And maybe I'm, all that stuff that we know that you'd be stressed about when you're running to work. And I'm sitting in the back of a Lyft or an Uber, or I'm driving and I turn up to the meeting.
Because you live in LA and you can drive.
Correct. So what I would do is I sit down and I breathe in for the same count that I breathe out.
Oh, yeah.
So I breathe in for a count of 4.
In through the nose, out
through the
mouth.
nose, out through the mouth, and I breathe out for a count of 4. Now, when you breathe in for the same amount of time as you breathe out, you're aligning your body and mind. Why? Because your mind is counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and your body in unison is breathing in and out 1, 2, 3, 4.
This is very similar to hypnobirthing.
Yes. No, I didn't know that. I was saying hypnotherapy, but hypnobirthing.
No, but what they're teaching me through going through contractions and things, it's amazing because it connects your body and your mind,
Yes.
and it helps you deal with any kind of stress.
Yes.
And because I'll be going through physical stress,
Correct.
it's going to help me through that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's the point, that whenever your mind or body are ahead or behind of each other, that's where you feel a lack of peace.
Right.
And so you find peace when you come back into alignment. So Gandhi said, when what you think, what you say, and what you do are aligned, then you'll feel peace and harmony. Here are 3 signs you're struggling with a lack of purpose. Number 1, you feel pressure to know what you want to do with your life. Number 2, you've lost interest in your own life and feel disconnected. Number 3, you don't know what your skills are or you feel you lack them. Hope is not lost. You can get through this. Having purpose and meaning in our lives helps guide us through the ups and downs and create structure in our day-to-day life. That's why I've partnered with Calm, the leading app for mental health and wellness. The app has a library with thousands of meditations, songs to help you relax and focus, and sleep stories to help you get a good night's rest. And now you can find the Daily J, a daily series where I'm sharing proven tools and techniques to improve your mindset and mental health in a matter of minutes.